Hey, Julia Barzyk here from Wise Investigator. Today I am going to walk you through how to access the funding opportunities from major DOD basic research funders. Now, what I'm going to walk you through today, again, are basic research funding opportunities from the research offices of the three services, and there are other DOD funding opportunities, like from DARPA and like from other DOD organizations, that I am not going to walk through today. We are just going to focus on Air Force Office of Scientific Research, AFOSR, Army Research Office, or ARO, and Office of Naval Research, or ONR. So there's a different way to get to this information for each one of these that I like to use anyway. So I'm often walking people through this on Zoom on a screen share because people don't know how to access this stuff. So I am going to walk you through it, and then I am going to, at the end, tell you a bit where you can get some more information on how to access DOD funding that's also completely free. And this is the course that I offer, again, a free video course. So I'll mention more about that at the end. But to get you started here, let's just get going. Okay, so the first one we are going to look at, and I am going to move my controllers over here. So we're going to look at this menu. So we want to go to Grants.gov, and we're going to go to search grants. Now, the way that I like to get to this one is by going down to agencies, and you're going to see, where do we go? All Department of Defense. I'm scrolling through it there, and we can go down here, and you're going to see different Air Force organizations. So this one is AFOSR, so just select that there and scroll up and see what the opportunities are. Now, what you're going to do here is look for this one. It's going to say something like this. If it's not exactly the same, I don't know what point in time you're going to be looking here, but research interests of the AFOSR. So this is, you're going to click on here, and you're going to be able to see some basic information about it, but you're going to want to go to this, and you're going to download this zip folder. And with this, you are going to be able to access a PDF. So I will just, I've done this already, right? So once you get this done, then you're going to come over here and you're going to have a PDF that you can look at. All right, so when you get the PDF downloaded, it's going to look like this. And pretty early on in the document, there is a table of contents. Now, it's a lot to look at this, the font and how compressed it is. It's visually, it's not the easiest to see. Let me make this a little bigger. But you can see that the table of contents does fit on one page, so that's nice. So despite the difficulty, again, of viewing this text, let's just take a quick look here and see that there are different groupings, and they are divided up into as follows. So engineering and complex systems, information and networks, physical sciences, oh boy, it's hard to read, chemical and biological sciences. And so from there, you're going to be able to look at specific programs like aerospace composite materials or mathematical optimization, etc. But it's good to get an overview by looking at the table of contents, and then from there, you're going to want to scroll through the document, get over to these topics. Oh, here's one right here. Here's some fluids stuff. So unsteady aerodynamics and turbulent flows, and going to be able to read about each of the topics, and then you are going to see a name like we see here, a email address. In some cases, the email address is going to be a mailbox for that program, like aerodynamics. Other times you'll see in some of the other for other organizations, they may give an email address that's of that individual, and certainly this would be a phone number for that individual. So I am not going to talk in this video about how to reach these people, because that is another topic. And I go into that in the course that I mentioned, and I work with people on achieving these contacts, making these contacts. But right now, I'm just going to show you how to get to these documents. So this was another program here, like we'd mentioned before, aerospace composite materials. So you can read through that, and you can find the program manager for that one and other contact information. Okay, so that is how you're going to get to the AFOSR topics and learn about what they're interested in. Now, from there, let's go for Army Research Office. So now we are going to go to this website here, arl.devcom.army.mil. If you just search for Army Research Laboratory, it should take you to this website. Now from here, you want to go to Collaborate with Us, and you're going to see at the top there's ARO Broad Agency Announcement, or BAA, and I would go to Browse Current Topics. Now, there's a couple ways you can look at this. You can look here, click on things, and get the topics to come up and in this web-based format. But what I like to do is look at the PDF, because in that case, I know I'm not missing anything. And I know once I've scrolled through it that everything, it's kind of have the assurance of completeness there, right? We've seen everything. So I like to look at the PDF. Now there's two PDFs you actually do need to download. I'm only going to talk about one of them here. You can download the actual BAA, and what that document is something that tells you the instructions for the different programs and how you're going to submit those proposals, what the rules are around each of those different funding vehicles. And that's very important to look at, but I'm not covering that here because, again, this video is about how to find out the topics that they're interested in, and we're going to keep it on that. So for that reason, you are going to want to go to download all BAA topics as a PDF. So the BAA is the document that has the instructions for what you're going to do, how you're going to submit, the requirements, all that, eligibility, etc. And the topics are where they tell you their technical interests. So I have already downloaded that, so we will take a look here. Now, in this document, you are going to not find a table of contents. They just go right into the topics. Now, I want to just make a note here that this says ARO, okay, Army Research Office topics, because I'm going to come back to this later at this point. And they are listed in alphabetical order. And again, there's no table of contents, and they're not divided into sections by discipline or anything like that. So you are going to have to just scroll through the document. You don't want to miss things, and if you do a keyword search, you can miss things because you're not looking for exactly the right keyword. So I recommend that you just scroll through it. That's what I do. Another important thing to note here in the header and footer is that they will tell you the last time this document was updated, and it does update pretty frequently. So for that reason, I always just download the topics every time I look at the document, pretty much, because I want to make sure that I'm looking at the most recent version. And this was updated just more than a month ago, so it is updated pretty frequently. So you are going to start scrolling, and you are going to learn about these different programs, and there will be a, oh, we don't want that, okay, we do, that's annoying. So let's try not to click on the email addresses, and you're going to look at the name of the program manager, and you'll see their email and their phone number, and you'll see descriptions of these programs. So I'm not going to scroll you through the whole thing here, except to make the point again that you have to scroll through, because otherwise you're not going to know what's there. They're not organized in any real meaningful way. All right, so once you have scrolled through these topics, you're going to note that, and see at each one it says ARO topic. That's always listed at the top, and again, I'll make a point about that. Another one, ARO topic. Now, about 2/3 of the way through the document, something changes. So we're still in ARO topics. Then here we go. So this was the last ARO topic, the end of the alphabet, wireless communications networks. From there, you keep scrolling. You notice there's still quite a few more pages left. Now we have moved into a different section of the document that says Army Research Directorate, or ARD Research Topics. Now, the thing that I need to tell you here is that there is a difference between the topics that are in the first 2/3 of the document. Each of those topics represents a program or a portfolio of research, and the person who is managing that program, for example, here is Dr. Ullman. This person has their full-time job being to manage the program. They are not doing research themselves. They are just managing the program, and they will have a budget every year. Every year they can make new starts if their budget allows, but their full-time job is running the program. And these are very basic research oriented. Now, when you go over here, ARD topics, well, what does ARD mean? What's the Army Research Directorate relative to ARO? But don't worry about that. That's just an administrative, organizational or administrative distinction. Just the important thing that you need to remember here is that the topics that I'm going to scroll through now are not permanent, if you want to quote unquote, permanent topics with a quote unquote permanent program manager and a quote unquote, again, permanent budget. Because of course things can always change. But these are areas of research that the Army Research Laboratory is investing in, oftentimes by doing in-house research. And they want to have these topics open and broadcast to people, because if there is money, which there may not be, they want to have these things posted so that they could have the opportunity to make grants or cooperative agreements to extramural researchers on these topics. And you'll notice that they are more applied sounding. And the people who are listed, for example, on this active and passive RF sensing, the people are generally going to be people who are researchers, and their full-time job is largely around doing research, quite possibly, probably at one of the Army Research Lab sites in Maryland. They could be somewhere else, but many of them are located at 2 different sites in Maryland. And they do not necessarily have a budget every single year for for efforts in these areas. So when you also talk to these people, they have a lot of other responsibilities in addition to being a program manager. So I want to emphasize that it's still very helpful to read through these topics, because if there's something going on related to your research, you want to know about that. It could be room for a collaboration. There could be money. So you absolutely would want to reach out to these people. But I do find it a little frustrating how these two types of topics are listed in the same document without any explanation of the difference between them. So let's get over to ONR. Now, you are going to go to the onr.navy.mil website, and you'll be here on the home page. Now, the ONR site navigation is not very intuitive, and if you click around here and you'll see different pages you can click on and you can learn about stuff, but where you want to go for the topics is to this where it says our research, and from there you're going to go to this option here, ONR Technology and Research, and this page will load up for you, and you're going to start just scrolling through and looking at the programs. So it's pretty straightforward. Here, this caught my attention: functional polymeric and organic materials. So let's look at that. I'm going to load up here, and you're going to read about that, and you're going to see the name of the program officer. And you'll be able to contact that person if it makes sense for you. Well, let's look at another one. Here, let's look at physical oceanography. Okay, so one more, and you will be able to read about that and scroll down, and you will see that there are 3 different program officers who are listed that you can try to reach out to. All right, so I hope this has been helpful to you. It is definitely not something that many PIs know how to access this stuff, and it's very important as a first step with engaging with DOD to look at the topic areas, right? Because they're describing to you what science, what engineering they're interested in, and if you find stuff there that fits for you, you're going to want to reach out to those program officers. Again, I do have guidance on how to do that. It starts out as a straightforward process of emailing them, but it does the whole entire process, and actually having success in reaching them is not unfold naturally or easily, I should say, in many cases. So it does take a bit of a persistent effort. Oftentimes, again, I can talk about that. I talk about that in other videos and in this course that I'll mention, but I'm not going to get into that here. So just understand that this is meant to be a very, very discrete packet of information to help you here just navigating to these topics. Now, I would invite you to check out my free Unlocking DoD Funding for University Researchers video course. I go through why consider DoD funding, what is the DoD approach to funding, and importantly, how does that differ from other organizations, DoD funding organizations, which include the ones that we just went through, but there are more than DoD programs. So this is different kinds of funding vehicles you may have heard about, like the early career programs or the DOD instrumentation program, etc., HPCMI programs, many, many different ones. It's all just an overview here in this course. How to search for DoD funding. So that's not a repeat of what I just went through. There are different ways that you can search for that in addition to what I just showed you. So that's worth checking out. And also learning what DoD has funded. That can be useful for you. Also connecting with people at DoD and then taking the next steps in terms of implementing all of this stuff. So I will link to this course below, and I hope this has been helpful for you in figuring out how to actually get the information, because that is an important first step.